What's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg, and this is another Chance Encounter. Hey, what's up? I'm Dan Fredenberg. I'm a commercial real estate guy. I'm from the internet. Power line today is kind of close. What's up again? This is Dan Fredenberg. Today, I'm joined with my friend Jamie Grubb. How you doing today, Jamie?
Hey, Dan, doing well.
Awesome, awesome. Now, one thing for you in the audience, I think is very, very important is being able to effectively introduce yourself. I think that your chances of success are way lower if you can't effectively tell people who you are and what you do. So Jamie, could you please briefly introduce yourself for the audience?
Sure, Dan. So I'm with a company called Lument, and we're a lender to multifamily properties. So Lument covers mobile home parks, apartment complexes, and senior living facilities. And we are the lender, so we bring the debt to the transaction. Normally, that's between 65 and 75 to 80% of the total deal size. So we're one of the largest partners with you, and we also walk through the financing, different conditions, different terms, and everything else that comes with that. So I've been with Lument as a lender, but I'm also an investor. So I invest in passive deals, and I've been doing that for over 5 years now.
Excellent, excellent. So if I pop up this little presentation here, what we're going to do is we're going to go through the segment on the segment on motivation for having part of an apartment complex. And it shows the six roles down at the bottom, but this whole motivation piece was created because most beginners don't even know what role they play once they actually close the deal. But they do know what their motivation is, so that's why I stuck to this. So the first motivation is preserving your purchasing power. In other words, you're concerned about inflation, and basically that's going to stop the party. So you need to have some assets that are inflation resistant. The next reason is my one, which is trading time for wealth. Because I'm a tech guy, I am a high earner as far as salary goes. But if I take that salary and then I put it into my investments, there's an intermediate step of paying a bunch of income tax. And if I instead co-GP with people and get help run those assets, then I'm trading my time for wealth instead of just for income and salary. The next reason is to fast track your retirement. This means that your ambition does have some limits. You know, you're working with some capital. Maybe you want to take up some passive positions. Maybe you're definitely looking to be more educated so that you get into these deals, and that way you can make better decisions instead of just trusting the bank. And the next one it's the ones who are super ambitious. They just want to buy their entire hometown. If they see somebody with a huge yacht, they have to have an even bigger one. And, they're not going to be satisfied until there's a skyscraper with their name on it. And the nice thing for other GPs, if you're cooperating with somebody with this motivation, is that they'll keep on working and working. And they're not just going to give up once they become, like a small end millionaire or something like that. The last one is that they have some sort of irrational need to help tenants. In other words, there's some sort of sector of society that they want to help out in particular. And so the goal is not just squeezing out profits just for themselves. It's, if they have to take a hit here and there because they're making some difference in the world, then at least for these people, then that's what they're really in it for. So because you're a lender, those motivations might not apply as much as some investors, but which motivations resonate with you the most?
Well, I think that helping people out, helping people and assisting in the buying of apartment complexes is really one of the biggest motivations that lenders have. We do make a return, but we are in it to help out the investor and to help out folks. A lot of the stories we hear from GPs and sponsors are that they have their dreams, which fit one of those motivations. And so we're really supporting that. I mean, we're a service provider where we are working with them and trying to help them, fit the best product of debt with their goals and with their investors' goals.
That makes lots of sense, and like that's one of the things that I want to add, and it's going a little bit off track a little bit. Me with my digital security background, I'm ultra suspicious of anything I'm told. And one thing I found that's really interesting is the real estate community really does seem to be out to help you, and it's not just self-serving. And like for me personally, I like helping people who are also willing to help themselves somewhat. You gotta kind of meet me in the middle or something. You can't just be like, okay, here, I'll solve all your problems. Now that's it, sort of thing. I don't know if that comes into it or not, but.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, real estate, you hear it all the time as a team sport, and people are there to help each other out. And really, it's difficult to do it on your own, if not impossible. So you need different players who are going to play on the team, who are going to help you out, and you're going to help out. So it's, kind of a symbiotic relationship where everyone's working towards the same goals.
I totally agree. And speaking of those roles, let's go through the die. I noticed that the lighting is kind of crap, so let me try moving over here. So here's the die for the different roles, and I usually start with the repositioner because that's the primary role that I have. So the idea of a repositioner is that you're looking at a whole whack of different properties and figuring out which one makes the most sense to add to the portfolio. But the biggest thing I like to say to people that real estate is the second oldest profession, so it's very very mature. And in general, if the current owner of an apartment complex could raise rents, they probably would have already. And so that's the thing as far as reality goes to keep in mind on how you're going to reposition and actually make money. The two main ways to make sure that your property makes more money is one is efficient operations. So you need an operation person, and I got the Benjamins going down the toilet there to basically show that it all matters and also show that the business side, like bookkeeping and marketing, including making sure that you have low amounts of vacancies in the property, that's all part of operations. And if you can do a great job of upgrading the operations, then as a repositioner, there's a very good chance that the building will make more money. But the easiest ways to make more money is to raise rents, and the easiest way to raise rent is to make the place nicer, and you get new tenants or residents. So you get the contractor to actually fix things up. I like to emphasize that you shouldn't get your operations person, even though they like unclog toilets and sinks and all that kind of stuff. You shouldn't get them to do the actual contractor work because you have to make sure that it's actually square. I've got a background in engineering, which is why that's important to me. But the other problem of being a repositioner, if you're from the internet like I am, is you're going to need somebody who can get there in like an hour or something like that. And that's not going to be me because I'd have to hop in a plane. So I'm not going to be the local or the boots on the ground. But these are basically the day-to-day things, and then the day-to-day roles. But the financier, the bank, in other words, you have to go to them and say, okay, I got this building figured out. I got the team. All right, now lend me a whole whack of cash, just like you. And so I can pick up this building. And what they're going to say, as you mentioned before, is who's your sponsor? And that's the one that's a little bit scary for newbies because you have to have somebody in the fold who has a net worth of at least the amount of loan, and also they have to own a similar asset. So that means if Jeff Bezos decides he wants a 450 unit apartment complex, he's still going to have somebody in the fold who already owns a similar asset if he wants to get the right kind of loan. So those are the 6 different roles there. And do you want to tell the audience where you land on that, or if you have anything that you can see on this where like I'm missing something?
Yeah, I think that the financier role, really bringing the debt to the transaction, is where I play. You mentioned it, that experience of the sponsor is key. And what we do is we go through the transaction. We not only look at the property, but we also look at the sponsor and the team that's behind the transaction. And what we're also doing is we're kind of holding the hand of the sponsor, walking through the transaction to make sure that the underwriting makes sense, to make sure that they can get the amount of debt that they're looking for and at the rate that they're looking for. We also do a lot of checks on the property. So we run through the property, we run through crime, we run through the history of the property, deferred maintenance. So we're really not just a partner writing a check for the bank side or for the debt side. We're also doing a lot of due diligence in backing up the teams on their transaction to make sure that everything makes sense, to make sure that we understand it, and that we're providing the debt to a good transaction. I think that that's the main thing, that we are a partner, not just to write the check. It really doesn't matter what number you plug into your underwriting in terms of interest rate and loan to value. It has to go through us, and we have to do the checks on what the property will withstand on a loan to value or debt service coverage ratio basis. And then also what different terms and conditions the sponsor wants to match up with their goal that will fit with the interest rate. So for each of the terms that they're looking to get, more liquidity, better prepayment flexibility, more interest only periods, then they are going to have to pay more for that, for those options. So everything's built into it, and we're here to walk alongside the sponsor and really make sure that all of the boxes are checked before the transaction closes.
Awesome, awesome. And you were emphasizing the underwriting, which I think I neglected to mention that that's one of the primary things that a repositioner has to do, other than make sure that the actual glare isn't on it. But yeah, and then it's just so I simplify it for any like total newbies to investing. Underwriting really means doing the math to find out how much money is coming in and what the expenses are, and then making sure that you can balance that with the amount that you'll have to pay in interest, and those different sorts of things. Underwriting is making sure that the math works out. But beginners aren't necessarily the best people for you to talk to. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. But could you please describe, without breaking any SEC rules, who's the perfect person in real estate for you to be helping?
We help the sponsors. So people who have deals, who are looking at closing the deals, they need to get the banks involved early on. Either at an LOI stage or at a PSA stage. The earlier the better, because we are going to be asking a lot of questions up front. We are going to be doing a lot of homework up front. So we are working with the sponsors and even forming that relationship so that we understand what market that you're dealing in. What are the constrictions within those markets? And are there any other things that you need to be aware of when it comes to looking at properties or looking in certain markets to see what are the max loan to values in that market? Not all markets are created equal. There are different tiers that we need to abide by, and we can help you out with that information on the front end.
Awesome, awesome. And the best way to reach out to you, we met through some meetups, and we generally contact each other through LinkedIn. What's the best way to reach out to you, Jamie?
Sure. Feel free to send me an email, Jamie, Jamie, .grubb, Grubb, @lumint.com. So that's the best way to reach me. I am on LinkedIn. I chat through there all the time as well. So you can find me on LinkedIn, Jamie Grubb. And yeah, those are the two of the best ways.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for being here today. And you in the audience, I got something to say to you, which is if you look down here-ish on YouTube, you'll see a red subscribe button, and that magically makes YouTube pay for these videos instead of me. So it's awesome. It also means that my videos might show up in your list of suggestions. It's not like every single video that it suggests will be mine, so you don't have to worry about me spamming you or anything like that. As a matter of fact, I know most people our age, they pull up the YouTube app and they're just searching for whatever they're looking for, and they don't even pay attention to the suggestions. So it's kind of no skin off your back. So please do subscribe, because it really actually matters from a monetary perspective. But Jamie, thanks again for joining me today, and have a wonderful week, and you guys too in the audience as well. Thanks for coming out.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Awesome.